Tonight, we continue our in-depth look at people arrested for allegedly illegally voting in the 2020 election. Governor DeSantis made the announcement back in August, but we have since learned most, if not all of those people thought they were eligible to vote.
Investigator Lewis Bolden has been following the story. He found out one of the reasons people thought they were eligible is because they received a jury summons.
Under Florida law, felons are not allowed to sit on a jury unless their rights have been restored. Some took getting a jury summons as a sign that they were in the clear. In the Ninth Circuit, which is Orange and Osceola counties, jury summons are handled by court administration. So we went to the chief judge to ask why it's happening.
It's a pretty complicated system if you're not familiar with it, so I can understand how people could be confused.
Ninth Circuit Chief Judge Lisa Munyon sat down with News 6 to help us understand the jury summons process. Does it surprise you that convicted felons would receive a jury summons in the mail?
No, because I know the process isn't perfect.
They kept calling me for court duty.
59-year-old Peter Washington was one of 20 people investigated by Governor Ron DeSantis' Office of Election Crimes and Security, then later arrested for voting in the 2020 election. All were convicted felons, but Washington says there were a series of events that led him to believe his rights had been restored, including getting a jury summons in the mail.
They called me for court duty for 2 to 3 times, but that what made me think that I was eligible to vote. Or my rights were reinstated.
Washington says the last summons happened more than 3 years ago, around the time that Amendment 4 was passed. Jury records are only retained for 3 years, according to court support staff, so there's no record of Washington receiving a summons. But court records show 2 other people arrested for the same charge did. Michelle Stribling received a jury summons in July of 21, and Jerry Lee Foster received 2 jury summons in September of 19 and February of 2021, according to court records. Judge Munyon says the initial list of potential jurors comes from driver's license and identification card rolls.
So every quarter, DMV will send a list to the clerk that has potential jurors for summons, and the clerk forwards that list to us.
She says the list is supposed to be cross-referenced with a state criminal history database.
The Florida Department of Law Enforcement, by statute, is supposed to look through those lists and purge, give the clerk information to purge them.
Do you ever get any notification from FDLE that that check has actually been done?
Not that I know of.
So no one verifies whether FDLE is doing that once a month?
As far as I know, and I have tried to check on the process since I've been chief judge, but it is a process that's very difficult to get down to the bottom of.
And why is that?
You would have to ask FDLE, I don't know.
Florida Statute 40.022, Section 4 states, the Department of Law Enforcement will search its databases and return an automated file of matching records that would assist the clerk in evaluating whether a member of the jury pool should be disqualified.
I know that that process isn't 100%. So every time we get a panel in, every day our clerk staff asks all of the disqualification questions. Are you a convicted felon? Are you a judge?
Do you think more could be done to prevent jury summons from going to convicted felons?
I think a system could be put in place that would cross-reference FDLE's database of convicted felons with driver's license rolls. It would require legislation, and it would require resources from the legislature.
We contacted FDLE, and a spokesperson confirmed what the judge says and added, clerks electronically submit names and demographic data to be searched against the Florida Computerized Criminal History Database for possible matches to a Florida criminal history record, end quote. Meantime, of the 20 people charged, judges have dismissed at least 2 of the cases. Getting results, I'm Lewis Bolden, News 6.